Hey guys, I'm Renae. Welcome back to another episode of the Space Between podcast. This week we are in part 2 of what we are calling One Drink to Remember, 6 Samples to Forget. If you watched last week's show or if you listened to last week's show, we were in part 1 where we tried 3 of the 6 samples that we are trying, and each of them are from something called the BTAC, which is the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. We were lucky enough to get to try these rare whiskeys thanks to Larry Smith, who is a big fan of the Dave Matthews Band in Wichita, Kansas. So thank you to Larry. This week we continue with Tim Paulin, Ben Parker, Larry Smith, and Justin Lipsmeyer. This week, we are going to finish out with the last 3 of the BTAC, and then towards the end of this episode, Ben Parker is going to show us how to make a wonderful old-fashioned straight from the kitchen. So be sure to watch all the way. If you're listening to this on a podcast, be sure to check out our YouTube channel, where you will be able to find several of our episodes. If you are listening to this on a podcast, we thank you so much for listening. We now have over 50 episodes of the Space Between podcast, and we thank you so much for listening to this episode, literally making dreams come true. I'm just a nurse that wanted to do something, chase her dreams, and love on the Dave Matthews Band, but even more, the fans around the Dave Matthews Band. So stay tuned. Here we go with part 2 of our BTAC, which is One Drink to Remember, 6 Samples to Forget. Enjoy the episode.
All right, so let's move to the heavy hitters.
All right.
Let's do it.
Do it.
All right. Next one on the docket would be the George T. Stagg 2019 at 116.9 proof.
Okay. Making sure I got the right one. Yeah, that's the 2019.
I'm getting notes of strawberry cough. That's what this is called.
You always got to get your whiskey drunk.
I just had a cork failure.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
But there's enough of it left that it'll spill.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Only
I bet you got a lot of
only part of it broke off.
you got a lot of empty bottles there. You could probably find one to replace it if you need.
That's true.
I do have a lot of empty bottles, but I literally just took 3 cases to my friend because his son's getting married next year, and so at centerpieces they're going to do empty whiskey bottles and all that. I just took them all. It's like, wait a minute.
I bet you'll have another empty bottle by the end of the weekend.
The end of the night, maybe.
Possible.
I mean, this Pappy 10's probably is only got one, maybe 2 drinks in it. So
Yeah.
I might just finish that one off tonight.
The legs on this one is really nice as well.
Yeah, I saw that. So if are you drinking out of a Glen, Justin, or what are you drinking out of? Okay.
Justin's
Right
got
there.
the rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
got the rocks.
I was gonna say it'd be hard to see the legs on that with that.
Yeah, no, with the ice, yeah, it's you can see a little bit of the legs. I can see them dripping. So I know with wine, like I've been around some winos and they always talk about the legs, and I have no idea what it means, like for a slow, fast drip or whatever the case is. So any education that y'all might be able to give on that, I would love to hear it.
It's basically just the viscosity of the whiskey. So it's a little bit of a thicker whiskey, obviously, if the legs are pronounced. And you always want to get your whiskey drunk. You got to spin it.
Yeah.
Make it dizzy from all this spinning.
Yeah, I mean, like the legs get bigger on higher proof, right, Tim?
Typically, yes.
Yeah. And they get fatter, I guess, if that's the way to say, on higher proof.
Sure. Fatter and slower, come
Yeah.
down a little
Yep.
slower. Maybe.
Yep. Again, just a more viscous whiskey to it. It's not as because again, you got to think the higher the proof means the less that it's been watered down as well, for the most part.
Right.
So if you're going to have those natural, sugars that are part of it and everything else, or just the alcohol in general, is going to be a bit more viscous. When you think about in the middle of COVID, when everybody switched to making alcohol sanitizer, it had that filminess to it when you used it. If anybody actually
Right.
got any from the local distilleries, very similar as you get to those higher proofs.
It's actually got a very smooth taste to me. Like it's not harsh at all.
Yeah. So
On the light side.
how do you think about that? Like you have that cube in there, and I'm gonna like on the higher proofs. I typically drink it neat, depending, but sometimes I'll drop a cube in, and it just opens it up to a completely different flavor. So even though
It does.
you had some of those lower proof ones earlier, what do you think with the ice in the ones that you're drinking now compared to those? Is it significantly different, or do you think that it's more flavor now? Using the same bit of ice, you got a little bit more flavor and more oomph to it.
Oh, there's definitely more flavor there for sure. I think the hit of the old Pappy was stronger than this hit from the George T. Stag. For me, anyways. This doesn't have that strong bite. It's got a better finish. I think. But the initial taste of it was not as invasive. I don't know if that's the right word or not, but that's kind of what I feel when I'm drinking it.
Okay. So it doesn't have that harshness
What about
to
you,
it
Ben?
up front.
Let's see. Want to hear what Ben thinks.
Ben will let you unmute yourself.
Oh, you're gonna let me unmute myself now? Yay!
Yes, just for a minute.
Anytime you want to say something, Ben, jump in, hit that unmute, say what you got to say, and boom, jump back out, baby.
Yeah.
You're not in the corner.
It's like as soon as I go to hit the unmute, it's like somebody's talking, and I'm like, okay, I'm back here. I'm just gonna sip my little drinky drink here. So, I'm getting a bit of cherry out of this one. I don't know why, but it's just it's like for what is it, 117 proof? For 117 proof, I'm not getting the heat at all on this.
119.
119, even worse.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Even
but yeah,
better.
but
That was
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, you're right. 116.9. You were right, Ben.
oh, okay. Hey, what do you know? For once in my life, I'm right. Can we get that recorded so I can share that with my wife?
Yes.
Oh, it's recorded.
I want to go to the gorge. You're right, Ben. Actually, let's edit that out. I don't need to get in an argument tonight.
All right, Andy, take that out.
all I'm trying to do is figure out, Justin, how do we get you to West Palm Beach next year?
Oh, we're going to West Palm Beach next year.
Agreed.
Okay.
And that's
All right.
recorded.
I heard it.
That's
I heard it.
recorded.
I heard it.
I will
already
Ben
told her.
Parker your plane again if I have to.
So here's a little backstory, just so everybody can hear it from my lips to y'all's ears.
Ooh.
So I had no problem with her going on my birthday in general. Like that's not an issue for me at all. We can reschedule birthday parties and all that. The only thing I was thinking of, she was already gone for 12 days or 11 days before that. And of course, I miss my wife. And we had some plans pre-made before West Palm Beach kind of even came up into the conversation. She told me when she was coming back, so we had all the same planned. Next year, if it lands on my birthday or right on my birthday weekend, which it probably will, it seems to always do that, which I'm fine with that. I'm happy to go and celebrate my birthday there. That's not a problem. I was just missing my wife from being gone for 2 weeks or almost 2 weeks, and was ready for her to come home for just a little bit. So, and it happened to be that next weekend was my birthday weekend. So that's kind of how that happened.
Okay. I got you. I understand. Me and my wife go through the same thing. So it's kind of give and take, right? Where we can go, where we can't go, and
Compromise.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But next year, I'm happy to compromise in West Palm Beach.
Yes. We're doing it.
So Tim, what kind of flavors and notes are you getting?
This one, and again, I've had it in the past. This is the one bottle of George C. Stagg I've had. I get a lot of leather and tobacco.
Ooh,
Just a lot of leather and tobacco. It's wild. For me, it's like pipe tobacco.
Yeah, I would say
that's like-
cigar. It's almost like having a cigar cut. One of the cigar cuts.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's got that similar cigar, almost like a Joseph Magnus cigar cut blend or something like that.
Yeah.
But what I think of the tobacco on it. It's the my dad used to smoke a pipe for like 2 years when I was younger, and he always had that like cherry tobacco, the cherry pipe tobacco. And I think that's where I might be picking up a little bit, or the similar to what Ben said with that sherry note, but it's got a little bit richer tobacco flavor to me. One of my favorite bottles of all time.
Yeah, now I've got to try again because now I'm looking for that tone now, and it's like I didn't get that off the initial tasting, so it's like now I've poured myself some more. It's a good thing my car practically drives itself home, so.
I think for these last two, I'm going to not put cubes in it and just see how it goes neat.
Now that's crazy because you
That
with
is crazy.
lower proof stuff, you had cubes in it. You're getting to the higher proof stuff, and you're like, oh, I'm good.
Well, I've got a little bit of a head change, so I'm getting a little more balls. So
there you go.
I am getting the leather.
Well,
I'm not getting really so much the actual tobacco flavor though on it. I don't know why. Yeah. So like I said, it's different for everybody. Funny.
Exactly, and that's what makes it fun for me. I love, as much as I love explaining what I'm getting, I love hearing what everyone else is getting too. Because then, like you did, Ben, I'll go back to it and see if I can pick up that note.
Exactly.
If not, it's not a big deal. But if I can, I think a lot of brain zeroes in on a couple of things and then dominates. And then if you hear somebody else's thought, you can kind of trigger your brain to say, all right, let's try to find that experience. Right. And then if you can, your brain picks up and it even changes the flavor for you, which is just a cool.
So think about
a cool way to drink whiskey is obviously with friends, you know.
Think about this for a minute though. So I get all of that you guys got, but did you get a heavy maple syrup? And I'm talking about like the deep maple syrup that's kind of got that almost. It's not
almost like sorghum, or
yeah, like that deep.
Right, well, I'm going to pull a Ben and get a little bit more because I did not. So if you really want maple syrup, Ben, I think you that said your favorite's the Angel's Envy Rye. Is that correct?
I think that was Ben that said that.
Yeah.
There it is.
So Justin,
that outside
to buy a bottle.
The outside the tongue right now has that super maple syrup.
Okay. Justin, buy a bottle of Envy Rye, pour yourself a glass, neat, and let it sit for 30 minutes and then smell it. It's legitimately pancakes and maple syrup. It's the most wild thing.
Okay, I'll do that. I know exactly where I can get a bottle. I've seen there's a bottle across the street, or across the bridge from where I'm at. So,
yeah. So next we're doing what? The William LaRue Weller.
William LaRue Weller.
This is the granddaddy, man. This is the one that everybody's trying to get, right? Everybody's trying to get one of these.
Honestly, this one and the Eagle Rare are the two big ones. Yep.
The Eagle, well, you know what? The Eagle Rare is just so hard to get. I think a lot of people give up on getting that one. But the William LaRue Weller is the deal. And it goes for, like, on secondary, man.
Yes.
700 to 1,000 depending on which year, honestly.
No, some of I've had offers. I mean, this is my second one, and I got one more because I had to open this one up. I had to get it back up. Somebody offered me $2,200. $2,200.
$2,200?
Yeah. But I mean,
Man,
I'm never paying that much. I'm grabbing it at retail or maybe a little bit over, only because
right.
Hmm.
I got good friends, right?
Right.
You got
Yeah,
great
that's
friends.
awesome.
Great friends.
But
Wow.
you look for William LaRue leather. And it depends on the year. It depends on the year. It's going from anywhere
Hmm.
now. I think the last I saw secondary was 15 to 2,500, whatever. It just depends on what it is.
Hmm.
And again, Justin,
I just feel so blessed to be here.
Yeah.
Period. So it's like
I couldn't
Justin,
agree
since
more.
you're drinking neat now, or when you're nosing, keep your mouth open.
So
Oh, yeah.
hey,
Oh,
look at
I
your
love it. Great boss. Great
hey
class.
look at your bottles. Okay, so Tim, what's your proof on the one that you have?
I have 124.5.
Okay, so yours is that's a
The
20
2020.
2020, right? Ben, what do you have?
Yep.
I can't even read this, dude. It's
Hey, what? Oh,
Oh
because
wow.
I just put yours with William LaRue Weller, and I didn't. So
See,
yours is probably this one. So Justin, did you get one with a proof on it?
it looks to me like it says 134.5, but I don't know.
oh, you're screwed.
That three, I can't tell.
No. There was
Is
not.
that a two or a three?
124.3.
Hold on. My empty one was yes. You did get a 134.5.
Oh, baby. So
Oh
this should
wow. You got a
Tim,
hazmat.
have been my last
so
one.
Tim,
And he's
you should
drinking
have
it
got
neat,
one.
baby.
Tim, you should have got a 134.5.
Mm,
Unless I
is that a
misdrew.
134.5?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it kind of looks like a two for me, but I guess yeah, that would be
That
a.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then I just missed. I just wrote it wrong. So
Yeah.
You wrote
134.
it wrong, and then you wrote my address wrong, so it all worked. I'm not upset. This is amazing.
Yes. So 134.5 that you have there, Ben.
Woo,
You should have.
woo.
I think because I killed this one with those. Ben, you should have the 128.2, which is it's obviously not as high a proof, but it's still good. WLW is the this is
Yeah, yeah,
the hunter's hunt. This is the
Oh
unicorn.
yeah.
I'm going to be
yeah.
looking for that now. Oops.
This is the
Now,
say
Renee,
goodbye
when you
whiskeys.
yeah, Renee, when you took a nose on that, you kind of jumped back a little bit. One, was your mouth open? Now, what you can do as well, instead of
No,
getting as
you have
deep
to ask that.
in,
You
take
didn't
it.
hear that tip. Did you hear that tip that when you nose it, you need to have your mouth open?
I don't know. Well, I don't even know what I was doing. All I know is when I put my nose
Don't
near
get too
it,
close.
it felt
Just
like
get
And
it
don't
was.
get too close. Now,
up
keep
over the top.
Renee, keep your mouth open and breathe through your nose. Keep your mouth open.
Not too close. Right there. Right there. That's close enough. Now sniff. Can you smell it?
Yes, that does smell better.
So
Yeah,
what?
there you go.
So what that does when you close your mouth and you just sniff, all of the stays trapped. So
Okay.
what it's essentially doing is it's burning out your nose. So if you leave
Yes.
your mouth open, you sniff through your mouth open dissipates the ethanol, so you can actually pick up those scents.
Now I have a question for all of y'all since we've kind of
Uh
talked
huh.
about our favorite or one of our favorite Dave Matthews songs. Kind of what we talked about, or what I think Renee may have mentioned earlier in our text messages. Did anybody find any songs that maybe weren't Dave Matthews that talked about whiskey or bourbon or whatever drinking that you really love or that you relate to?
Oh, was I supposed to be looking into that?
I'm
If
sorry,
you
I
don't
didn't
have
hear the
one,
question.
that's
I
okay.
took my first sip and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is 128?
Yeah.
Like, really? This is like the smoothest bourbon I've ever drinking in my entire life. Like, oh my gosh, this is so good. It's sweet. It's like
Mhm.
gosh, like I'm getting nuts of caramel, whipped cream. I'm getting like all sorts of shit in my mouth, and it's just like, oh my gosh.
You got a party in your mouth.
100%. I actually do have a couple of songs as we're going
Let's
through
hear it.
this.
I'm sorry. What was the question?
Whiskey songs, favorite
Yeah.
whiskey songs, or
Whiskey
songs
songs
about drinking that you can kind of pull into whiskey.
Drinking
I don't know. I'm sure it's some country song with whiskey and
There's a lot of country songs.
Why don't you drink? Why?
Why do you not blow smoke?
Roll smoke. It's
Hey,
roll smoke.
I don't roll anything.
All right, Tim. Let's hear one of your songs, or however many you have. I'd like to hear them.
So I have two and then one Dave one that the obvious Dave one for me is not rye whiskey. It's Grace is Gone, and the big reason why Grace is Gone is huge for me is because our youngest puppy we named Stella Grace, and I unfortunately realized at the shows this year, because this is the first year that we've had her. Well, she's 2 now, but like this is the first touring season that we've had her. That when dogs are only on this earth for a very short time, when she finally leaves us, I don't think I'll ever be able to hear that song again without turning into a sack of mush. So it's now become a very important song to me, and I didn't even realize it. But the two non-Dave songs, for me, I love sad songs. As you can probably tell by everything that I'm choosing, it's a way for me to release any sort of emotions that I have. Like, music is very spiritual for me and very emotional for me. But Whiskey and You by Chris Stapleton, if you've never heard, is just an incredibly heartbreaking song. But it's beautiful. Yeah, it is absolutely beautiful. What's that?
I said we are kindred spirits. I can already tell.
And then my second one, you guys. Yeah, the last one you guys may not know is called "Waltz About Whiskey," and it's from the band called Watch House, and they're formerly known as Mandolin Orange. It's now a husband-wife. It was just a male-female duo out of Chapel Hill, and they're kind of bluegrass Americana. And if you've never listened to Watch House and you love Dave Matthews, I suggest you give them a listen. Their harmonies are incredible. Emily plays the fiddle and the guitar, and Andrew plays guitar and the mandolin, and they're just wonderful, wonderful music. But Waltz About Whiskey is what's that?
Watch House?
They're called Watch House now. They used to be called Mandolin Orange.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Ben, did you have any songs yourself that you might, listen to often that you really love or that you like?
So if I were like going country with this and stuff too, like I would definitely.
You can go however you want to go.
Oh no. And so I mean, like, of course, Dave Matthews. It's got to be rye whiskey. I mean, period, because I love rye whiskey. But like, when it goes to like, like, if we're gonna go a little country here and stuff like that, it's got to be the Brad Paisley and Carrie Underwood version of Whiskey Lullaby.
Carrie Underwood.
Oh yeah.
I've not heard that version. I've only heard the one with Alison Krauss.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. It is all. Dadgummit, man.
It's okay. You're drinking 128.
I'm gonna blame this.
Go ahead and hit that mute button.
Look at my top one and look at my bottom one. I had Whiskey and You at the top, and
Whiskey Lullaby.
Bottom.
I see
and
that
I'll talk about the middle one whenever y'all are done.
Yeah, but I mean, just Whiskey Lullaby. I've always loved that song. I mean, like, period. I mean, like, it just. I mean, just the harmonies and stuff like that too, and just I mean, of course you got to be careful with whiskey too, because you drink too much, stuff like that, you pull the trigger. So,
absolutely. But
moderation, which
it is a great song.
Somewhat doing tonight. So
I have a wide range of music that I listen to, just as I think everybody does here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dave is like jam, and that's my everyday listen to, whatever. But I was out on the lawnmower yesterday, And I thought about this, and I was out on the lawnmower, riding and doing my thing, and I got my iPod, or not iPod, my iPhone on random, and so it just pulls all the random stuff. You know what came on? Cold Gin by Kiss. If you don't ever hear that, Cold Gin by Kiss.
Oh, wow.
I used to be not used to be. I was a huge Kiss fan back in the day, and I still listen to some Kiss. Now I listen to it now, and I'm like, holy shit, that's not very good. But there are some songs, like seriously, there are some songs that come up, and I was like, oh yeah, I can get with some Cold Gin. This is not whiskey, but hey, Cold Gin was good. And then AC/DC, Have a Drink on Me.
There you go.
CDC. Go.
And I appreciate having this drink on you, Larry.
AC/DC, Have a Drink on Me.
That's pretty cool. So y'all already talked about my first two. I had 3 on my list, but the middle one, the one that we haven't mentioned yet, is actually one I was like, I don't think he originally sang the song, so I kind of did a little Wikipedia dive into it. And so the song was One Bourbon, One Scotch, One Beer by George
Thorogood. Yeah, baby.
Mhm.
So, I just I didn't know, but I kind of thought that I'd always heard that he'd kind of covered it. Found a little bit more about the song than what I even knew when I went to Google it. So it was originally written by Rudy Toombs and recorded by Amos Milburn in 1953.
Oh wow!
But it wasn't that original, or it wasn't the song that George Thorogood sang. It was kind of a part of it. And it was actually titled One Scotch, One Bourbon, One Beer then. So then it was adapted by John Lee Hooker in 1966.
There we go, Johnny Lee.
And then it was adapted by George Thorogood in 1977. But he also combined it with John Lee Hooker's House Rent Boogie. And that's where you get his song, is the combination of the two. And he made it kind of his own, if you will, based off of that.
Nah.
So it's evolved over the times, and I had no idea until I looked that up. So I thought that was pretty interesting to learn.
There we go.
Very cool.
I love that song. One bourbon, one scotch, and one beer.
That's right. It's just a great jam song. It just really is. It's just a bluesy, it's a kind of a jam band bluesy feel to me.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now I'd love to see Dave do that one. Now that.
Dave Matthews, if you ever listen to this podcast episode, just please, that would be amazing.
We need to get into Rob's ear.
Yeah.
All of us you just need to get into Rob's ear. Hey, try this one.
Yeah. Hey, Rob Messina.
That is an interesting question to me. Just in general, like how many covers does Dave do or has he done, and when is the newest cover that he did? Like when's the last time he opened or brought a new cover into the set list? I wonder.
Well, I think this year actually would be, because when he started doing "She's So Heavy" into everything
Is that
after.
the Beatles?
No,
it's
Beatles. Yep.
Yeah, that's the "She's So Heavy," but he also did the Paul Simon cover. I think that's the newest one that he played, right?
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one's that?
The She's So Heavy, and this Paul Simon. Is it Friday Night? I'm trying to think of the name of it. Late in the evening.
That's it. Yep. Late in the evening. Good job.
Because man, that's off of that Paul Simon item. That whole.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of my favorite albums back in the day, and I just told my wife the other day. I said, "Man, why don't I have that on my iPhone?" I think I will.
The Dave Call Me Out cover that he did for the Paul Simon tribute was just phenomenal too.
Oh,
I was really hoping I would see that on tour this year, but just something I got to chase. Another one to chase.
There you go.
So, by the way, since we did say one bourbon, one scotch, one beer, I did actually bring something with me. So my brother-in-law actually got this for me whenever he was over in London. And I thought this was interesting because I have not tried it yet.
Yeah.
I would like to try it, but this is actually Scotch whiskey and stuff too. But
Is that
but it's
Actually, that's not Scotch
Irish
whiskey, Ben.
whiskey.
That's
oh no,
Irish.
it's Irish whiskey, yes.
Yeah.
the single
but-
malt Irish whiskey,
But
right?
yeah. So I have not tried this yet, but I would like to try it tonight though.
Do it.
Well,
So
maybe,
Well, let's
maybe,
do
after
this.
we get, maybe after we get done with these last two, everybody
Yeah.
pulls out their favorite.
We only got one left.
There's only one left, Larry.
like a
Oh,
one
yeah.
left there.
Well, after we get done with the last one,
Larry, we all know you have like 200, but I mean like left, but some of us only have one.
Let's get to the last
of-
one. Why don't we?
okay.
Speaking of,
So
let's go.
So this Thomas Handy, this is the Thomas Handy rye, and this is one of those two that is kind of. I love this one. I mean, I think this is a really, really great. And all the Thomas Handy ryes again they come in different proofs. They have a different deal. Some years are better than others. I think this year, this 2021, spectacular. But that's just me. You know,
So does it give a
Maybe
age
a
on the
little
Thomas
more in
Handy? Is
there.
it like a 10-year or 12
It's
year?
a-
Does it even say?
6 year.
yeah,
All Thomas
6 year.
Handys are 6 year.
yeah, but it's 129.5. You know, so it's almost 130 proof, and it just is different. And I don't know.
You smell it.
I like it.
Yes.
See, I'm getting the classic rye notes on that. I'm getting that like spearmint dill on the nose.
Spearmint dill. Ooh.
Yeah, a little minty, and you'll
That's
get a lot of
technical stuff.
what's that?
I can agree with that.
So that's like technical stuff. You know, I'm just.
Well,
I'm getting
so-
wasted.
I
I'm
can,
getting wasted.
I can smell the spearmint. I don't know about the dill, but okay.
So it's wild because it's a very common, at least
It'll give you that nose if you're nosing that it'll.
And I love fresh dill. That's one of my favorite herbs. Oh,
So good.
Wow.
So what's the deal with swirling it a lot? I mean, does that just open
so
up?
you're opening it up. It's just like aerating wine. So swirl, and open it up, let it breathe, introduce some oxygen, and it'll kind of, especially with a Glencairn, if you notice the way the glass is shaped when you swirl it, it's
Yeah.
going to kind of trap the vapors in the bulb.
Okay.
So when you go to nose, it's
I
going
need
to pull
some
it's going to, yeah, you need some new glasses, absolutely. Got to get yourself a Glencairn if you're doing a tasting. Now, I'm like you, though, Justin. If I'm just sitting down and I'm having a drink, watching TV, I'm going to glass every single time.
Hey Tim, I had to reach and grab this. So you know, last year in Mexico, we were always having to do those
Mhm.
glasses down there. This is a silicone blend.
No.
Ooh.
This is a silicone Glen I'm going to bring to Mexico so that I don't have to worry about having glass down at the pool because, you know,
Yeah.
I love that.
we're drinking whiskey down at the pool anyway. And I can
Nice.
still do
Yep.
the same thing. And it's,
Very nice.
I'm looking
Yeah, our
forward
little
to
corner, our little corner in Mexico is a lot of fun because there's me, there's Larry, there's Mickey, there's quite a few of the bourbon guys, and we always have something interesting just sitting there.
There's always
Oh, I
something.
bet.
Christine is down there too.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So speaking of Mexico, if I'm not mistaken, that's a different date or week than what it usually has been. Is that correct, Nick?
No, it's right around
I
Valentine's
mean,
Day again.
it's on Valentine's. I
Yeah.
think part of it's on Valentine's Day, isn't
Yeah.
it? Or the day after, maybe.
It was typically right on it or around. Just depends
Yeah.
on how the weekend falls.
Yeah.
You know?
I had heard something about they had like a 5 or 6 year contract originally, and that expired last year. So
Yeah, that's-
everybody kind of wondered if it was going
Rumors.
It's all rumors.
to gotcha.
So if you need a room, it's not too late to get one, Justin and Renee.
I've heard you can get rooms all the way up until the week before for the most
Pretty
part.
much, yeah.
We just we need like a lottery hit or something. I think to go to that.
I'm telling you this. This is what I'll say, and part of it was the whiskey experience that we did with Tim, and part of it was just being there. Like we got there early on Wednesday, and before we even got to the first show on Friday, Kelly was like, "We're absolutely coming back every single." We were down there, and it's all day people. It's all same mindset, all same, and you're just the openness and the welcoming and the givingness of everybody there. And that was when I met Tim. I mean, he welcomed us into his group, and he's been going there for a few years. We are rookies there. We're walking around. We don't know what we're doing or who we're supposed to be hanging out with or whatever. The people that I kind of know, they're all over the place. Some of them are over in the Grand, some of them are in music, some over in whatever. Tim's like, hey, come hang with us and just be part of our group. And so then, hey, there's Christine that turns out is in that group who I knew, and then and now it's like that's family, right?
They're
When they
family. Yeah, absolutely.
come be
That's
there, come hang out with us, come be part of our group. That's fucking Dave fans in a nutshell, man. And
I
Tim
love
is
it.
the best. Tim is the best of what's around.
I love it.
I appreciate it. It's
Is it
interesting
now?
because our first
Here's a quick controversial question. Is it
what's that?
Boa? Is it Boa? Is that how you pronounce best of what's around? Boa? Or
Yeah.
I always say boa. You're the boa. Yeah,
Oh,
Boa. You're the Boa.
yeah,
I'm just
absolutely.
curious. All right,
that's
I
not a
think that's cleared
controversial
up.
question.
That's not
I've heard
controversial.
people
Yeah.
say it both ways, so I'm just making sure to get the record straight. That's
Wait. It's only because you're from Arkansas that you would think that it was Bala.
But
It's
No,
kind of like
I've heard it say both ways, so I don't particularly care either way. I was just asking.
Just asking.
to
Just
kind of
asking.
piggyback off of what Larry was saying, Tab and I, our first year was 2020, and we had thought about it for the first couple of years, but it's an expensive trip. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say it's not. We prioritize it every year because it's really a spiritual recharge for me. But the reason we ended up going in 2020 was right before COVID shut down too. Was Amos Lee was one of the openers, and my wife is a massive Amos Lee fan. So, and she's a huge Dave fan as well. But to be able to get Dave and Amos was a no brainer. She's like, okay, we have to do this. So we get there, and we're just like Larry. That first year, we know nobody, and we get in the pool, and we find our first friends, the first part of the Mexico family, which would be our friends from upstate New York, Amy and Claire. And we meet Christine that year. That's when she tore her Achilles and was in a cast, and she's on a big float, and she's floating around, and she introduced herself, and I brought my small bottle of whiskey. I brought it Early Times Bottled and Bond because I wasn't getting too crazy, and she said that she loved whiskey, and I was like, I felt bad because she's sitting in the pool. She told me this terrible story of her, destroying her ankle on the way, or her Achilles on the way to the airport, but she was having such a great time she didn't care. I was like, give me just a second. So I ran back to the chair, I grabbed my bottle, and I poured her a glass. And we're sitting in the pool, and she's like, this is amazing, this, that, and the other. She goes, I love you guys. Have you ever been to the Gorge? We're like, no, we've never been to the Gorge. She's like, okay, you need to go to the Gorge. My family goes every year. You're going to camp with us. All you have to do is get a plane ticket and come. I take care of the rest. So COVID happens, right? And we end up, everybody shut down. Dave Wednesdays start happening, and I create a Facebook Messenger group, and I named it Mexico Family, and it's everybody that I met in Mexico because I'm a social butterfly. I'll talk to nobody's a stranger. I'll talk to anybody. And so I just added, exactly, yeah, I think we all kind of are. If we're on a podcast, we're probably okay talking with everybody. But so I create this group, and it was amazing because, these are now lifelong friends and some of my dearest friends in the world. We went through COVID together. We did Zoom calls, and we played Cards Against Humanity together. One of our good friends that are the young couple, Madison and Drew, that were on their honeymoon. We were the first people they told that they actually got pregnant on their honeymoon in Mexico.
Wow.
So there's all these amazing memories, and each year the Mexico family group just grows. It adds new people. Larry's on there, and Kelly's on there now, and it's just every year you go. When people ask me why do you keep going back, I always say it's like vacationing with 5,000 of your closest friends, because that's 100% what it is in Mexico. It's unlike any experience, and I love going to the shows and like hitting the different venues here and there, but there's something about spending a week with people that get you, and that's a really special thing. So I hold that week very close to my heart, and every year again the Mexico family just grows.
And that's something too where I mean, like, a lot of my friends here, they just don't understand. I mean, like the actual Dave Matthews family and stuff like that, and going to all these concerts and that, they don't get it and stuff. And it's just like, but it's not just about going to the concerts. It's about like seeing your Dave Matthews family and stuff too, and hanging out with them and everything too. And it's just like a lot of my friends, they just don't get it and stuff like that. And I get made fun of a lot too. But you know what? But I don't care. Because it's absolutely special. Everybody's very, very close to my heart, and so no, I'm not sorry one little bit about it. I don't care if they make fun of me; they can keep making fun of me all they want. So
that's right.
It's come see a live show. That's all I tell my friends, because I got some friends, and we were telling. I don't know, Renae, if we were telling you this story, and it was funny. We were at a pool party with a big group of our friends. And a lot of them are Dave Matthews fans, but they don't go to Dave Matthews concerts and whatever. And so we were sitting there talking to two of them, and they're Metallica fans. And so they were talking about So they were talking about how Metallica was going to do this weekend in Dallas, and it was going to be incredible because they were going to do 2 nights, and there was not going to be any repeats in those 2 nights. And it was and I'm like, man. I looked at Kelly. Kelly looked at me. She kind of gave me that grin. We're like, we do that all the time.
Larry's like, hold my whiskey.
I'm like, really? They're like, man, and I thought it was weird because they were doing it on Friday and Sunday. And I'm like, how many people do they leave out because there's nobody there on Saturday? Like,
right?
I think that they want to do Friday, Saturday. People can travel on Sunday, get home, do whatever. They're doing it Friday, Sunday. And I said,
I bet that feeds
no repeat. It's no repeat weekend for Metallica. Man. Yeah, Dave does it. Dave does like 15 of those a year, but hey.
So we'll have to start that hashtag at the Gorge. It's a no repeat weekend.
Hashtag no repeat.
Like it's weekend. So last question about the whiskey. I want each of you to tell me, if you have to narrow it down, 1 out of these 6 that you've tried tonight, which is your favorite, and briefly why?
Good question. I'll go first because I'm more of the simpleton on my palate than y'all. So y'all may need to think a little bit further than that. But in all honesty, I would probably say the George T. Stagg was my favorite out of all 6. I really enjoyed it. I thought for a 117, almost a 117 proof, that it was so smooth. I mean,
solid pick.
And everything about it was inviting for me. So I really enjoyed that.
You got to get in my mouth.
Absolutely. 100%. Get in there.
I like the word "dirty mouth" for a woman. I'm
sorry.
It's like one of those.
I am so trying to be good right now, and it's like,
you have no idea how good I'm trying to be. So. Trying to be as professional as I possibly can be under circumstances.
You're on my podcast, which is completely unprofessional. So please say what you want. Okay, so
who's next?
What was your favorite? Who wants to go next?
Either one of you guys go. I mean, I got mine.
Ricketts.
Ben, go ahead. I'm still thinking here.
Yeah, come on, Ben.
Okay, so really fast, the last one I got a lot of toffee out of it, like toffee and I would say like peanut butter, peanut brittle, something like that. Okay, so like that was good.
That's a little different,
man. That William LaRue Weller though,
bro.
like that was a treat. That was a fucking treat. Like, my goodness. Like, Larry, I don't know how I topped that. I mean,
Ben, I think you're holding back a little bit. How do you really feel about it?
Is it fucking delicious?
I will strip down right now. I'm just kidding.
All right, session over.
Mute yourself again. Mute yourself.
Yeah, Ben gets kicked out of the podcast totally. Whatever. No, but yeah, that was just, oh my gosh, that was just like, yeah, I just couldn't believe it for the proof it was, and just how smooth, and just all the, oh my goodness, it was just very full. So
Flavor
yeah.
bomb.
Have you ever had it before?
No, I haven't had any of these before.
Me neither.
So this was all new to me. I mean, so
we
it's
popped
just,
a bunch of cherries tonight, man. You and me.
Yep. Good job, Larry. You popped our cherries.
Hey, Tim.
Yeah.
I'm holding. This will come to Mexico. How about that?
That's amazing. Thank you.
Shit. I'm going to have to buy tickets now.
Now we got to look into it, Dave. Okay.
I'm getting divorced. Heather's going to divorce me.
Here's what I know. For the
I'm coming down single, people.
we can buy a bottle of bourbon.
True story.
So,
but we
Tim,
can't drink it.
Tim, what did you think of all what did you think of all the ones that were there?
All right. So first, and not to get too sappy, Larry, I do want to thank you very much for this.
Oh, yeah.
People may not realize how special that, what you were able to do was tonight. I mean, to actually sit down for 2 hours and run through the entire BTAC line it just doesn't happen. I mean, that's a dream. So thank you very much.
Yeah, we don't have a bar tab tonight, do we?
You know what? I'd be willing to pay this bar tab for sure.
I have two, and I'm gonna say why I have two. One is the William LaRue Weller, of course. It's incredible. I had this one before. A good friend of mine actually took his life during COVID, and he's a big whiskey guy. And he actually had the 2019, so this is the 2020, but he had the 2019 bottle, and he never opened it. And my friend Don, who lives across the street, and actually Nick was 2 streets up, the one that took his life. We bought the bottle from his wife when she was kind of offloading his collection, and each year we have a drink. So the Weller obviously has a special place in my heart, and it's incredible. I mean, it's fucking good. But the Eagle Rare 17 is one that I've been personally chasing, and to actually be able to try it and for it to live up to what I expected it, I think wins for me tonight. It's rare on steroids. Awesome. It's got that super fruity, that super flavor the Eagle Rare is known for, and it had the oak, it had the leather, it had all those things that I love about bourbon, especially about aging. So I would say probably the Eagle Rare 17 would win for me tonight, with a very close second on the William LaRue Weller.
That's awesome.
Great. Thanks for sharing, Tim. That was an amazing story.
Yeah. So here's my thing, Tim, because you're the whiskey guy and you're the Mexico guy, and we're gonna set it up. I'm gonna bring, like last year, I think I brought some pretty decent bottles, but I think this year I want to step it up a notch, just because, So I'm going to bring that Pappy 10. I'm going to bring. Kelly told me I can only bring so much. You only have so much room. Yeah, we only have so much room in the suitcase, right? So I'll bring the Pappy 10. I'm thinking about bringing a GTS, the George Stag or whatever.
Oh my goodness.
But for Brian, he always, because we love Irish whiskey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, I'll bring this Redbreast 27.
Oh my God.
And
So
Wow.
Brian Brown and Brian and Jenny are some of the Mexico family OG. They're from Wisconsin. Amazing people. Brian is a huge Irish whiskey fan, and he always. It's funny because as the whiskey share evolves, it's of course heavy bourbon because that's
yeah,
the American spirit. Like a lot
yeah,
of people are bourbon,
Right.
but there's a couple of people that are outliers on the Scotch side, but Brian is 100% all
Irish
in on
whiskey.
Irish.
Irish
Yeah,
whiskey.
he's brought some really great bottles. He's brought I think the Bushmills 18,
Fishmill's 18 last
and
year was incredible.
yeah, so he's gonna flip a wig when he sees that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My favorite, just easy to find bottle is probably the Rabbit Hole Derringer. That's my favorite. Just every day, it's just a nice, smooth, really good tasting bourbon, in my opinion. I've had their straight bourbon, but the Derringer is probably my favorite from the Rabbit Hole line. Um, I don't know. That's just kind of my go-to. Have a nice little glass. If I happen to be out of that, then I'll get a Mitchers. If I'm lucky enough to find Buffalo Trace, which it's hard to find in where I'm at in Arkansas, believe it
No,
or
are
not.
you fucking kidding me?
I can find it like if I cross the border into Tennessee. One time we went to Memphis, there
Oh,
was
bro.
like a whole end
Bro.
cap full of
All
Buffalo
right.
Trace. But
All right.
here,
I
it's
got
hard
it.
to find.
I got a case coming to you tomorrow. All right.
Oh shit! Yeah, send me a case, Larry.
It's
I mean, I've
okay.
got a bottle.
No,
Just the standard.
like literally Buffalo Trace. And so this is one of the weird things about where you live at, and this is also
Yes.
one of the things like where you live at and how it works, right? So like in Kansas, we've always been a big Weller, a green label Weller, so Weller Special Reserve, and so that's always like bars here use that as their well drinks, and they had for a long time. And so it's always I can always find Weller Special Reserve, and then the same with Buffalo Trace. I can get a case of that tomorrow and send it to you, and you can't find it. And I like I said, I got Eagle Rare for days, and it's just depending on, and that's the weird thing.
Yeah, North Carolina,
How it all works
pretty
out.
much anything Buffalo Trace in North Carolina is allocated. Like I can't find Buffalo Trace Eagle Rare. You rarely find it on the shelf.
No, Tim.
Yeah.
I'll,
I've never ever seen Eagle Rare on the shelf.
Florida is like me. We're like the redheaded stepchild. I mean, it's hard to find everything down here. I mean,
Yeah.
like, unless you know a liquor store owner and stuff like that, then you can get something. But
okay,
like, I mean,
you'll have to excuse the madness of my house right now because we are getting ready to build. Well, and so we're packing shit up and we're trying to tear stuff off and doing some different things. But I'm just gonna go on a little tour here. So
Okay.
oh shit, we're getting a tour of the house, baby.
no,
Yes.
no, no, no. You're not getting a tour on the house, but here, this is
Oh
the
my
other whiskey.
God.
This is the other whiskey
Wow.
bunch of whatever, right? And so there's a ton of shit there. But I got these just came in today. How can I get those? Right?
Oh wow.
Those Eagle Rare and Booker. A buddy of mine just sent me those today because they were $35 in California. So what am I supposed to do? Right?
Send
Not
them
buy
to
it.
us.
Really?
Send
Yeah,
them
no.
to us.
And I said, hey, send them to me and I'll send them out. And I have no problem in
Oh my
doing all that.
gosh!
So, and so that's
Wow.
where that's where I always think of that it's weird. I think it's weird
Mm-hmm.
that how allocation works and where it's at and where it's not
Oh yeah.
and whatever. But anybody here that needs Eagle Rare or Bookers or whatever, I got more than you can shake a
Shake a
stick
stick
at.
at.
That's literally what he just said. That's literally what I just said.
Well,
Just
so
send me your
to
Venmo.
kind
I mean, like, yeah, whatever. Sky's the limit.
But you guys can't. I mean, like I said, I mean, I think now at this point, I got like 15 bottles of Eagle Rare, but I don't use it. So what do you do?
well, to kind
You
of
hold on to it.
segue into that, since
I grab them. I literally just grab them so that I can send them out to people that I know.
That's awesome.
that's awesome.
That is awesome. That's your kind
So,
spirit right there. Generous.
absolutely. So since I
All right,
can't
Big
find
Larry,
Buffalo
do you want
Trace or
this
Eagle
back?
Rare,
So it's not evident that I've never shipped booze before.
essential oils, essential oils.
It's evident that I've never shipped delicate bottles before.
There
I
you
won't
go.
say what.
Sure. Bet.
Okay,
So I'll be
yes,
quick
yeah.
with my everydays. I have two, and I have a rye and a bourbon. The rye by far is Old Forester rye. It's
Mm.
$27. It's 100 proof. It's good in mixed drinks. It's good neat. It's good on ice. It's the workhorse. It's so good. And then if I want to step up into a little bit more proof, would be the Knob Creek 9-year single barrel. And I used to love finding the actual single barrel store picks, because you could find for $60 a 15-year Knob Creek 120 proof single barrel store pick, and they were some of the best bourbons out there. You don't find them anymore. The standard offering is the 9-year. It's delicious. I'm sure Larry's got 17 bottles of the 15 years. He's pulling back down. Well, no, not the 15-year. I'm talking about the single barrel, like the store pick ones years ago. That one's good too. Don't get me wrong. That's delicious, but that's 100. That's 100 proof, not 120, right? There you go.
That's the rye.
That's better. That's the double rye, but it's wild because Knob Creek. If none of you have ever had it, obviously that's one of my favorites too. The 12 years delicious. But like Justin, if you've never had Knob Creek,
I've had Knob Creek, but not the 9-year single barrel that you're speaking of.
The 9-year single barrel, 120 proof, neat after you've had yourself a starter bourbon. So you kind of acclimate. It's similar, like you started today.
I just had to find it.
There you go. Yeah. That's a perfect, right there, the Knob Creek one. It's got like a dusty funk to it. I don't understand it, but it's almost like you're in a barn.
And it's
not really selling me on it right now, Tim.
Well, it's the most amazing barn you've ever been in, is what I'm saying.
The fun thing is, this one is 120 proof, and it's better. Mm-hmm. I mean, but it's the younger, but 120 proof, and it's a little bit more. And I like this. This.
Oh yeah, like I said, those are the everydays. That Knob Creek and that Old Forester rye, by far.
Sorry, anyway.
Awesome.
I have just
Ben, what's your go-to every day?
If I were to say the go-to every day, I would say the Old Forester 1890. That's just something there where it's just it's not very high in proof and stuff like that. Very smooth drinker. I mean, just something that you can just pour and just take the edge off. If you, I mean, like so that would probably be my everyday, my every Friday, because this is a brand new bottle because I drink this so much. And I love this, but the Angel's Envy Rye is just so freaking good. It is about $90 to $100 a bottle, but yeah, this is probably like a once a week, drinker for sure. But yeah, I go through a lot of that, unfortunately. So I always say,
unfortunately,
fortunately,
it's a great bottle.
I don't say I have an alcohol problem. I have an alcohol solution.
There you go.
Hey.
There you go.
But yeah, the Angel's Envy rye is just phenomenal. I mean, it's got like that. I mean, like as soon as you drink it, it's just like butterscotch. It is so freaking good. So, but yeah, it's something that I just really enjoy a lot.
So we just finished the last 3 of the BTAC, the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. I hope that each of you learned a little bit more about our American whiskey. And so if you enjoyed that, we have one more treat for you. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, be sure to check out our YouTube channel, because this next piece where Mr. Ben Parker, who lives in Florida, is going to make us his special old-fashioned recipe, making it with homemade simple syrup. So be sure to stay tuned. If you're listening to this on a podcast, be sure to watch it on YouTube. Again, we have several videos that are available all of the time. And again, we have over 50 podcasts. So if you're enjoying what you're hearing, we've got several more to keep you busy. So here we go. Ben, show us how to make an old-fashioned.
Hey guys, Ben Parker here, Space Between Podcast. So today we're going to make a rye old fashioned. Figured since Dave says rye whiskey, I cry, might as well just stick with the rye. So anyways, you can use bourbon, you can use whatever bourbon you want, just don't use the finest bourbons, because those are meant to be drinking neat or straight or on a cube if you're Justin. Anyways, I just go on ahead, I just take my little jigger here and stuff, and I just, start off with some bourbon right here. I always pour over the glass, because in that way, if I over pour, oh darn, a little too much. I'm a lush. So, anyways, we start with that. Then we go on ahead, we get some Angostura bitters. Unfortunately, I don't have Angostura orange bitters, so I just have to go with just regular orange bitters. But, it'll still work, it'll still be fine. Go on ahead and take this, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, helps me take the cap off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. 5 drops. Guys, it's called simple syrup for a reason. Don't buy it in the store. It's simple to make. I use simple syrup. I make my own. I use Demerara sugar. Demerara sugar and water. It's all it takes. Bring it to a boil. Boom. Simple syrup. Best stuff you'll ever have. I take 2 spoonfuls. 1, 2. All it takes. Now we just go on ahead. It's already on ice. Stir for 30 seconds. It's okay if you lose an ice cube or two every once in a while.
Dave's got back bar.
Alright, that's pretty good right there. Take an orange peel. Let's peel an orange peel. Here's my glass. I always like to go on ahead. I take the outer edge and I rim it. Drop the orange peel in. Take our old fashioned. Come on, let's get every drop out of there. There we go. Boom. Filthy cherries. Only the best, people. Don't use those little red cherries. Those are garbage. And I'm a cherry whore, so I'm gonna try to pick out. Let's just get 2. Drop it in. That is how you make a nice rye old fashioned right there, people. All mine.
Cheers.
Ben, thank you so much for sharing that recipe with us. We definitely can't wait for you to make us one yourself. Guys, thank you so much for, again, watching this 2-part series, 1 drink to remember, 6 samples to forget. If you are just watching this episode and you didn't see part 1, it is available on any podcast app and, of course, on our YouTube channel. Guys, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much. Thank you to Tim Paulin, Ben Parker, Larry Smith, and, of course, my husband, Justin Lipsmeyer, for for making this episode possible. Whiskey is not my forte, so we definitely let the guys lead us in this. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Next week, we do have some exciting things coming. Well, just in the next couple of weeks, we have some very exciting episodes, some very exciting guests that are going to be part of our show. And of course, we're headed to the Gorge. So again, if you're listening to this on a podcast channel, be sure to check us out on YouTube and all our social media pages. On Facebook, we're under the Space Between Podcast, which is a group on Facebook. If you're on Instagram, be sure to check us out at the Space Between _POD. Guys, thank you so much for making my dreams come true. Be sure to stay tuned next week for another wonderful episode of the Space Between Podcast. Peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band.